Today, we've got a lot to cover, as I mentioned, but I have specifically crafted this training to make sure that it covers the fundamentals for you. I've been training, testing, doing a lot with Claude recently over the last, I don't know, however many months. So I have gone through hours and hours and hours. And sometimes I feel like you get a different type of fatigue when you're literally talking to a robot all the time. It's a weird feeling, and you're just like, oh my gosh, my brain is so tired because I've just spent so many hours chatting to a robot. And that is, a sentence that I never ever thought that I would say. But yeah, here we are with AI. But long story short, I've been testing loads, and I am trying to condense into this training the key fundamental parts that you need to know about. Let's dive into it. So, who am I? My name's Holly Cope. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm new to you. There are quite a few new people who have registered who I don't recognize. I have a law podcast called More Than a Lawyer. I used to be a lawyer. People always say, how could you be a former lawyer? I don't get it. And it's like, yeah, okay. I used to be a lawyer, as in I used to work in the legal industry, and that doesn't mean to say that I don't have a legal mind or I've lost any skills that I had when I was a lawyer. I'm just not a practicing lawyer right now. However, in saying that, I feel like once a lawyer, always a lawyer. I think like one, I act like one. Everything that I do, I make sure that I am legally compliant with it. Literally anything in my day-to-day life, I'm always thinking about what law could this be. That might be called a mental illness. I'm not sure, but that's just how it is. If you can resonate with that, please let me know so I don't feel like I'm the only one. I used to be a lawyer. Now I do AI training and AI audits. I'm spending most of my time doing AI audits, to be honest with you, for legal teams and law firms. And that means going into their legal teams, looking at the different workflows, the way that they work, the tasks that they have, and seeing if they can do it better using AI. And it may be that AI is not the solution. They just need to sort out their processes. So it's my job to really get into the nitty-gritty, into the weeds of what they're doing, and then look at the bigger picture and think, okay, how can they optimize what they're doing, either with AI or just generally speaking. Today, I literally was doing a roundtable with a legal team who I was doing an audit for. And I do a roundtable with the group, with the wider group, not including the managers and the partners, but the legal executives and the juniors, to understand what the culture was like around, just generally speaking, around technology and adoption, just to figure out if AI is something that they can introduce into their teams, if it can be favorable to the culture, and then how can AI be adopted for their culture specifically. And it's just fascinating. It really is. I absolutely love it. I think it's so fun. And I love seeing the transformation on their faces when I tell them, oh, you can do this so much quicker with AI. And they're like, no way. So it's really fun. And to be honest, a lot of my points that I mentioned today are actually related to what is covered in what has come up in the audits. So a lot of people have similar problems. And so I thought, well, I'll do a training to help people and help them solve those problems. So I'll get into that a little bit more later on. So what are we going to cover today? I'm going to cover the two most popular areas that come up in my AI audits, like I just mentioned. I'm also at the same time going to show you how to go through Claude skills and Claude projects. A lot of people are confused around what these mean, what they do. And I think the main reason for that is because they just simply don't have the time to experiment with it, to play with it. I was speaking to one of my clients, another audit client last week, and they said they really wanted to create, and I'm not gonna tell you what it is right now because I'm going to show you how to do it, create an assistant, an agent. And I said, have you looked at Claude skills? And he was like, no, I've been meaning to do that. And I said, well, the problem that you're telling me right now is exactly what Claude skills will do for you. So it would be good for you to, do a training around that. Preferably, I can show you how to do it. So yeah, I'm going to show you how to do it. By the end of this training, you are going to understand how to handle skills and projects within Claude. What does it mean? When to use those two different things? I'm going to also give you some prompts as well. All the prompts that I'm going to use from this training is going to be available to you. So don't worry about that. They are quite lengthy prompts, to be honest with you. You are going to have examples of 2 cases that will save you time and energy in your work. So these are, as I've mentioned, the most important use cases, examples of where AI can really, really help you. And I can almost guarantee that every single person, even if you're not a lawyer in this training, is going to benefit from this training. Even if you've played around with Claude before, and it may be that you've already tried these things as well. But I would be very surprised if you did, because so many people tell me about these things. Okay, what do you need for this training? Okay, you need Claude on your desktop and you need Claude Pro or beyond. So I think that's about £20 or dollars a month. I can't remember the currency, but you're going to need at least Claude Pro, and you're going to need Claude on your desktop. And also, I want you to just consider confidentiality. Just bear this in mind. Confidentiality, somebody raised it before we even started, which is fantastic that you have this top of mind. That's brilliant. Yeah, PS, watch my Claude for legal training, because it shows you exactly how to set it all up. And it's like the basics, like the proper basics. And then my AI agent training, all on YouTube, by the way, is also available. And it will also show you how to prompt very well, all different skills to create an agent. It's brilliant, if I do say so myself. Right, just looking at the comments, and Kelsey says that she just started using projects. In fact, let me just put this up so you guys can actually see this. She just started using projects this past year in a sales capacity. That's interesting. It took a while to adjust, but not as long as I thought it would. Okay, yep, that's great. It's been helpful when creating messages for. Okay, that's very interesting. I didn't even think about using it for them. Okay, a lot of people are using Claude at their work. That's fantastic. Please share with me how you actually currently use it. It's really interesting and great just to share ideas. Okay, let's just jump into the next section. Okay, you're going to need to make some notes here, because as I say, there's a lot to go through, mainly a lot of prompts, but you will have access to those prompts. And this is the prompt pack. All the prompts I mentioned, they're in there. So here comes the fun bit. Can you guess what has come up constantly for me in terms of what people want to use AI for? Not just Claude, but AI generally. Any guesses? Put your guesses in the comments. I can't wait to hear what you guys think this is. Yeah, streamlining workflows. Yes, but there's like a key thing. Yeah, admin. Yeah. Yeah, research is a great one. Reviewing contracts. Yeah, to be honest, actually, that's like the second. Grammar help. Yep. Okay, they're coming through now. This is fantastic. Great guesses, but literally nobody has guessed the right thing yet. Nobody. Do you want to keep guessing? Checking citations. No, but that's a good one. Yes. Well done. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but Pita, sorting out their inbox. Bang on correct. Emails. This is what people ask me about, how to sort out emails. I do actually have another video actually about connecting Claude to emails and how to help them do that. This is not what I'm going to be talking about today, so don't worry. This is what the issue is when it comes to emails, okay? A lot of people, lawyers specifically, tell me, oh yeah, so I put in my email and then I ask ChatGPT or whatever to make it sound better, or like improve it, make it sound more professional. Like this is what they do. And the issue is it's repeated prompting. Like they're basically starting from scratch every single time, and it's very inefficient. In saying that, I also do this myself sometimes, because I might write an email and just be like, oh, I just need this like to be professionally written in a really lovely way that I just physically cannot come up with in my own brain or with my own brain. But there is a different way of doing this, which I'm going to come on to in just a little second. But the problem with this repeated prompting, as in starting from scratch every single time you're writing or drafting an email, which is what my clients have told me is like really, really frustrating, is that you're constantly arguing with the AI because it's not got your tone right, your format right, the structure right. It doesn't use the words that you use. It's like literally so annoying. And you end up having like the same argument with it every time. It's like you're in this massive toxic relationship with AI. You just don't want to be there. You really, really don't. So this is what I'm going to go through literally now. I'm going to just get prepared with my prompts. And as I say, you've got access to those prompts. I'm going to show you how to set up an email voice skill. I'm going to explain in a second what is a skill on Claude, and I'm going to get up Claude and show you, so don't panic. So step number one, I'm going to ask Claude using a prompt to interview me. And it's going to basically understand how I speak, the way of my writing style, the format that I usually use, the words I choose, who do I send emails to. It's going to ask me these different things. So it kind of gets a context. This is going to be like setting up a human assistant who is their sole job is to write your emails and respond to them in a way that is like in your voice. And this is actually for those of you who do not have that trust in AI right now in terms of confidentiality. So you can't, let's say this is for the type of person who cannot link up their email with Claude right now. Maybe they've got restrictions. They want to create like an assistant, an agent where they can just it can just remember their details, remember their tone, etc., without them having to reprompt it. But it's also worth noting that the same steps you can go through the same steps in Copilot or ChatGPT if you have like the pro versions. And they're confidential and everything else, and you can link them up to emails. You can do all sorts of things. This is like the basics of how can AI remember my voice so I don't have to keep talking to it and telling it how I talk, in order for it to write an email that sounds like me. I hope that makes sense, because I feel like I just explained that in a really odd way. So if you don't get what I'm saying, just please let me know. So we're going to start step one. It's going to interview me, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And I will give you the prompts for that as well. It's quite a long one. Step number two, I'm going to create a skill, which is, in my eyes, that's like an agent, because it just remembers everything that you have given it, all the information you've given it. Then I'm going to test that skill to make sure that it's right and that it's working well. And then I'm going to improve on it, reiterate, and make sure that every time then I can go into that particular skill within Claude, and it will know exactly how I want to write an email. So I can just say to it, I want to write an email to a client about this. Can you do it? And it will be as if it's you. It will write as if it's you. I'm going to just get into Claude here. I'm going to just grab my prompt. This is prompt number two. So as you can see, it's really long. Oh my goodness, it's literally 8 pages or something. That's just the prompt. I didn't realize it was that long. Let me just double check I've got the right one. Yeah, okay. Right, okay, so this is step number one. Let me just go back into this so you can see it. Let me just check if there's any questions. Okay, no, we're good right now. Okay, you've got 2 options here. You've got chat and you've got co-work. If you have Claude Pro, you will have access to co-work. Okay, and this is the desktop app. So it doesn't really matter whether you put it in co-work or chat, this prompt. I'm just going to put it in chat for now. Okay, so I'm literally just going to paste the prompt, and that's it. Let's see what it does. Okay, so it's going to start interviewing me to understand who I am, what's my work. And again, you don't need to give it confidential information. You don't need to give it any private information. You just give it what you're happy giving it. And imagine this is like a human. If you don't want to give it information, you just say, sorry, I can't disclose that information. I'm just going to try and see if it records. I don't know if it can record whilst I'm doing a live stream, but let's just give it a go. Okay, tell me about your role. What does a typical day of communication look like for you? Okay, I am going to pretend that I am currently, I'm going to say immigration lawyer, okay? Just because I feel comfortable with that, because I know I used to be one. Okay, so I am an immigration lawyer. My role involves giving immigration advice to clients, mainly business immigration clients based on UK law. I speak to via email. Yeah, it would be business people, entrepreneurs who are looking to get a visa for the UK. So I would send them emails. I would also email other colleagues and also the Home Office as well, and potentially other immigration lawyers or advisors. So as you can see, this is not perfect by any means. This is just what's coming out of my brain, okay? So I'll send that to it, and then it's gonna continue to ask me questions to understand. And this takes about 10 to 15 minutes. If you record it with like the audio, it's so much better and so much quicker, obviously, for you. Okay, and then it'll ask me, okay, of those groups, clients, colleagues, the Home Office, other immigration advisors, which one do you email the most day to day? Clients. So it's just getting an idea of the context, and then it'll also ask me questions later down the line about like tone, my how do I end an email, how do I start an email, things like this. When you email clients, what's the most common purpose? Is it mostly legal advice? Right, okay. It's mostly, to be honest, legal advice, also requesting documents as well, and then follow-ups for those documents, and then new inquiries and giving advice on how we can help as a firm, how I can help. Yeah, so it needs to be professional, helpful, and practical. Has anybody else done anything like this before, just out of interest? I think that one of the best ways that you can actually set up AI, whatever you're doing, is to ask it to interview you. I think this is a really kind of underestimated skill, or like let's say strategy when it comes to AI. I think it's fantastic because you can really get a lot out of it. Okay, when you say an email needs to be professional, what does that actually mean to you in practice? What a great question. What would make an email feel unprofessional? That's a good one. Makes you think, doesn't it? Professional to me means not overly friendly, but at the same time, I want to be warm and I do want to be friendly, but I don't want to be like over familiar, or it's a tricky one. Um, I guess professional to me means the use of language should be formal, and if it's unprofessional, it would use like slang, colloquial phrases. Do you get what I mean? Okay, let's see what it says. That wasn't very helpful. Okay, it gets me. Thank goodness for that. Can you give me a concrete example of a line woman friendly? So it's going to go on like this, right? You get the picture. You get the picture. But at the same time, you can give examples of your email writing, right? So it can see how you actually write in practice. Yeah, Ezra says, I've built skills before, but hadn't thought about asking it to interview. Honestly, I think this is the most effective way to get AI to do what you want it to do and to really understand what you want from that. So this is fantastic. So after that, I will say to it, and I'm not going to press enter because then it'll start like doing stuff, but you'll get the picture. I'll say to it, so let's say for example, it's gone through the whole interview and it now knows about my tone, and it will actually tell you when it's finished interviewing you. It will say like, okay, that's everything that I need to understand you and who you are. And I'll say to it, okay, great, thanks. Now turn this into a skill called email voice skill. I don't know, whatever you want it to be called. That will then start like generating and creating what's called a skill. Now, a skill, some people are aware on this call what a skill is. If you're not aware of what a skill is, it's basically if I click / here, it comes up with skills. So a skill is where you don't need to prompt AI the same things, like you don't need to start from scratch every single time with it. it will already remember what you've asked it, what you've done, etc. So you can simply type into it, okay, I need to respond to this email, and it will remember this interview. It will have information about you. It will save all of that into the what you call skill. So that's why it's so good. I'm going to open up a new one so I can show you my email skill. I need you to activate my email voice skill, and then I'm going to give you a task. Once you have the skill activated, can you let me know? And then I will give you the task. Okay, so let's see if it remembers it. It's now looking for my, yeah, it's got it. It's got it. Thank goodness for that. Okay. So that's how you can like find your skills if you can't find them. So I'm just going to go back into the prompts because I have another prompt, which is, and again, you have access to all these prompts. I have put the link. If you don't have the link to these prompts, then please let me know afterwards. Okay, so this is a prompt. Right, you're writing on behalf of me. You have been provided with my communication profile. The communication profile is that interview process we just went through. I called it on the prompt communication profile. Your job is to write emails that another colleague could not distinguish from your writing. Okay, that's interesting. Basically, it's saying your job is to write emails, yeah, that somebody else doesn't know how to write because it's me as a, like, people don't know how to write like me because that's unique to me. Before drafting, consider audience, etc., etc. Okay, never explain your reasoning. Okay, and then I'm just gonna add like a note at the end and just say, do you get the task? Let me know, and then I'll tell you what I want you to do. There we go. Okay, let's see what it says. Right. Okay, it's gonna write in my voice. So this is how you test it. So you literally say to it, okay, so I would like to write an email to a another lawyer, let's say, and I want to invite them on my podcast. Let's just say that. Can you draft me an email and try to schedule a recording time? So this saves me a lot of time because it would take me time to think about, okay, what do I want to say? How do I word it? Okay, so it's come back and it says, happy to draft this, just need a quick details. Okay, it says, what's their name? Okay, so let's say you're drafting an email to a client, you might say to it, leave the name blank, I will add the name. In terms of the topic angle for the podcast, something along the lines of about AI impacting the legal industry. And then the person that I want to interview, they used to be a lawyer and then now they own a legal tech company. Okay, great. So it's got a bit of context. So this is definitely going to save more time than it would you actually drafting the email, because now, okay, it's come up with the email, but it's come up with it in exactly my tone. Let's see if I'm going to read it now to see if this is in my tone. So it says, hope you're doing great. I say this literally all the time. I came across your journey from practicing law to build. Okay, I wouldn't say that. I host a podcast where I speak to people. The format is relaxed conversation. I do say that. So I would say half of it. Well, no, let's be nice. Let's say 80% of this is what I would say. So what you would find with skills, and this is like the second part. Let me just move back onto the presentation. Okay, so we've had the interview, we've created the skill, and now we're testing the skill. This is me testing the skill. And now, so I've tested it pretty much because it's written in email for me. And now I want to improve the skill. So this is how you improve the skill. So I would say, I would not say this part ever. It's very dramatic, you know? And then I'll say, can you interview me for, let's say, like 2 minutes? And then I'm going to put in brackets like 3 questions max, because I don't want to go into it, to understand how I would write this type of thing in order to improve this skill. Let's see what it comes up with. I've literally never done this before. So this is like live trial and test. Okay, right. When you're reaching out cold to someone you admire, how do you actually open the email? Okay, so I appreciate that you didn't have context in this situation because I didn't tell you who the person was. However, I would usually reach out to people and actually give them, mention to them something that I've seen. Perhaps they've been on another podcast. Perhaps they have written a great LinkedIn post that's really relatable. Perhaps I've met them in person, or seen them at an event, and I want to kind of follow up. Again, I appreciate you never had any context in this, but that would usually be how I would reach out cold to somebody that I admire. How would you describe the podcast? The podcast description you can find on Apple Podcasts quite easily, but this would be how I describe it generally. Um, there's no real habit of me in cold outreach emails, because it very much depends on who it is and what I am asking. So this is how you kind of refine it. You give it more information about you because you cannot expect it to know everything about you. So this is what I would do. I would just keep communicating with it. And yes, it might take time. And yes, it might be a little bit frustrating. But in the end, you have a fantastic skill, like assistant of how you can do anything with. And obviously, you can apply this to everything. The example here is the email. However, it can be used for anything that you think, perhaps legal research, or I don't know what, literally anything that you think is useful to you. That's really useful, thank you. And then I would just say to it, update the skill based on what I have said. So then it would update the skill with the new information for it. And as you can see, it's editing the skill. It's going through the process of doing that, which is like fantastic. Updated the skill, brilliant. The only thing is, usually you have a button which says save skill. So I'm a bit dubious. So I'm just going to say to it, you haven't given me the option to save the new skill. So I am doubting the fact that this skill is actually updated for future use. See what it says. Now you can see my lawyer kicking in. Okay, so it's doing its stuff here. I'm going to move on to the next thing because we haven't got so much more time left. And yeah, I was very excited to show you that because honestly, so many people ask me, how do you get AI to remember your voice and write like you? Well, this is actually how you do it. It might take you some time, as I say, to refine it, but that's how you do it. Okay, what do you think is the next one that I'm going to show you? Any guesses? What else do people ask me to show them? And this is something that I'm going to be showing you in the projects section of Claude. So you're going to understand what the projects feature does. As I say, this is also another example of what people say or what people ask me and what they always complain about, like, oh, I wish AI would do this. Any guesses of what it is? Just checking through the comments section now. And by the way, with the prompt pack, you can actually kind of play along and you can use the prompts as well whilst we're doing it together. It's always fun. Streamline admin tasks. Yeah, that's quite general, but what specifically? And this is my last prompt that I'm going to show you. While we're here, I'm going to go to the projects. Got some random demos in here. Okay, what does Matthew say? How to have specialized instructions for specific cases that do not overlap with others. How to have specialized instructions for specific cases that do not overlap others. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. You're getting very close. You're getting very, very close. Setting up automation. Again, quite broad. Something a bit more specific. And by the way, let me know if you've got any questions based on what you've seen. So I'm going to just, while people are putting in their guesses, I'm going to show you the project section. I don't use a project section so much. I prefer skills. I think they are brilliant. I love skills because it just remembers everything that you've told it, and you can update the skill to update the information it has on you. It's brilliant. Projects is something slightly different. I'll go to new project. Projects is basically, if you can imagine, like a folder. Let's say a folder in your computer of where you can keep documents. And in that folder, Claude has access to all the documents you keep. And usually in folders, you keep the same types of things. So in your computer, you might have in your documents, you might have a folder which says, let's say, photos folder. In another folder, you might have invoices. In another folder, you might have travel documents, random, you have folders. You get the picture. A project is like a folder. You keep the information in there, and Claude can see everything that you've got in there. It can see the documents, it can access them, and it has a better context. And it might be for lawyers, for example. I know that lawyers have told me that they will create a project as a matter. So they'll create a matter project. So each client they'll create a project for, and in that project they'll save all the different documents and stuff like that, like a case management system, but not to that full effect, if you get me. This next thing, I've not even showed you what we've had some great guesses there, but not quite correct. Okay, so what people ask me about is, how do you create some type, or no, okay, let me just scratch that. They ask me, how can you optimize with AI note taking from meetings? But this is specifically meetings that are in person with clients. So I've been working a lot with law firms who have like elderly people clients, and they find that those clients do not like it when the meeting is recorded. They don't want to go online virtually and do a meeting, and they want to handwrite the notes. They want the notes handwritten because they feel more comfortable with that. And the lawyer feels more comfortable handwriting the notes in front of the client because that's more kind of like just an old traditional way of working, right? I mean, I say it's an old traditional way, but I do that every single day. I write notes. So it's also how people work. It's different ways of working, isn't it? So I have said to my clients, and they say to me like, oh, I need to type up the notes and I really should type them up. And I'm like, if you prefer to write notes, handwrite notes, that's absolutely fine. It's the after point where we can actually optimize that bit. I love writing notes and I actually prefer to do it. It feels more natural, feels more comfortable, and I would not like to take that away. So if I was having in-person meetings with clients, I would still also handwrite notes as well. Or maybe I might have a dictator in there, a recording device to make it a bit easier for me. But a lot of lawyers want to know, how do I make that process easier when I've handwritten notes in a meeting? Okay, so I'm basically going to show you how to do that. This is what I'm going to do. So step one is, we're going to create a project for a particular client. Okay, I'm going to put the prompt, which you have access to, and again, it's quite a lengthy one, into the project. I'm going to show you how to do all this now, so don't worry. And it's literally going to take me about 5 minutes. So I am going to record details about the meeting afterwards. It may be that I might read my handwritten notes, or I might take a picture of my handwritten notes and put that into Claude. But on this occasion, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to record my thoughts after the meeting, like example meeting. Obviously, I've not had a meeting, guys. Step number 3 is it's going to ask me follow-up questions to test whether there are any gaps in the file. Now, these meeting notes that I'm going to type up, I'm going to type them up. Sorry, not type up. That AI is going to generate are going to be notes applicable to the client management system that I use. So let's say I use Clio or some other case management system. I'm going to make sure that it is agreeable with that system through Claude. Like, I'm going to be like, make sure you write it in a way that is compatible with my case management system, Clio, for example. Okay. And I'm also going to ask it to create a time recording description if you're time recording for that specific meeting, to make it easier so I don't have to write it myself for billing purposes. Okay, so by the way, all of that is in there. All of that detail is in the prompt. Here's the prompt. So I'm going to get it. It's 3 pages, so it's not as bad as the other one. I've highlighted the bottom section because basically with this prompt, my meeting explanation, you need to put into here, what are your specific requirements for your case management system, in terms of like how you can add notes. So whatever the system is, whether it's, I know I recorded a video with Dana, which is on YouTube, and she put case notes into Bullhorn. So the case notes had to be compatible with Bullhorn, which is a software. So whatever it is that you use, you can say to Claude, right, I use this software. Can you make sure it's compatible with that when you write up the notes? I hope that makes sense. Right. Okay. So you create the project. As I say, this is going to be done in a few minutes. Okay. So what are you working on? So I'm going to name the project Client B. What are you trying to achieve? I'm going to say meeting notes. I'm just going to keep it brief. Okay. Create the project. I'm then going to paste the prompt into it, but I'm not going to amend the last section. In actual fact, well, no, I'm not going to amend the last section. I'm just going to leave it blank and just see what it does. Okay, pasted the prompt in there. That's it. And then I'm going to record in a second my meeting, what happened in my meeting. This looks like a template for turning a client meeting into a legal documentation. How funny is that? Go ahead and tell me the meeting in your own words. It's like calling me out here. It's like a little bit rude. I'm gonna just record directly. See, a lot of my clients record into like a an audio recorder or a dictator or something like this, a dictation device. They don't, and I said to them, why don't you record directly into Copilot or whatever it is that you use? And they're like, oh, I didn't think of that. So instead of like, recording afterwards, it just makes sense just to do it directly in, because ultimately this is what Claude is going to use. Again, you can take a picture of your notes and put it into here. So I'm just going to say, so I just had a meeting with one client. I am an immigration lawyer. By the way, side note, if you want it to have context around who you are, who you work with, then you can ask it to interview you again as well in this project section. The project section is separate to the skill section, so it doesn't kind of speak. But then again, it might know more than I think about me. But also, I'm not an immigration lawyer, so I might get confused. So yeah, I've just had a meeting with a client who is looking to get a visa for the UK. They are an entrepreneur. They originally are from India. They have a fantastic business and they're looking to set up a company in the UK. Basically a franchise it is. And I need to just schedule a follow-up meeting with them. We only had 10 minutes to talk in person, but I need to schedule a follow-up meeting with them to really get more of the details about how they operate, etc. But this is the information that I have so far, and I just want to log this into my case management system and make sure I have a record of this. The meeting was 10 minutes, as I mentioned, and it was just like a discovery meeting. That's it, really. Can you create that for the time recording and the case note? So you basically just talk to it like it's a human, that's it really. And then the project, retains that information. It has the prompts, which is fantastic. It's all in one place and it's created, if you want it to be more suitable to how you speak or how you want to present that information, again, ask it to interview you and get that information, extract that information, or give it further context. The more context that you give it, the better the outcome is going to be. So it's created a file note, it's created a meeting summary, and then it's created a description for time recording, which is brilliant as well. So this is fantastic. I love it. I love it. It's brilliant. And then it's also added a few questions at the end. Oh yeah, that's a good point. So step 3, so we've done step 1, prompt it. Step 2, give the details about the meeting via audio, or you could take a picture of your written meeting notes, or you could put transcript in there. Ask me follow-up questions to test whether there are any gaps for the file. Okay, I'm going to ask it to do that just for the last 1 minute of this training. If you've got any questions about this, please put them in the chat before I hop off in about 2 minutes. That would be fantastic. But I just want to say thank you for turning up. Thank you for being here. It's always great to see you guys and to chat with you in the chat section and speak to myself. But I'm actually, I know you guys are listening, but it's always weird. But it's really, really great to be here. And I do appreciate your time. Okay, so let's just read what it's actually said to me. A few things would help complete the record accurately. What's the client's name? Yep. Of course. Yeah. So I'm just going to say to it, let's actually record it because I just can't be bothered to type right now. Ask me follow-up questions. Okay, I may have missed a few details here. So can you just ask me some follow-up questions if you can see that there's any gaps that might help me when I am emailing the client or when I am capturing information for the notes for the case file? If you see any gaps, please just interview me to ask me what might be missing. So it's basically like having a conversation with it, right? Here we go. It's asking me more questions. Do you have the client's full name? No, not yet, etc., etc. So that's it, really. That's how you deal with projects. That's how you deal with skills. That's the different scenarios that you might use them in. So many different scenarios that you might use them in. But yeah, thank you so much for coming. It's so nice to see, like, I want to say familiar faces, but I'll say familiar names. Great to see you. Thank you again. If you did not get the prompt pack, drop me a message and I will send you the link. Somebody asked, will this be sent on message or on your page? Do you mean the recording? If you go to my profile page, the recording will be on there, but also it will be a YouTube recording. If there's any other trainings that you can think of that would be really helpful for you, please let me know. I'm putting different ones together. The second thing is I am looking at doing a confidentiality and privacy training with an AI governance specialist. Again, if this is something that would be of help, then please let me know. Molly said, I love this. I love this comment. Thanks. Your trains are always informative and helpful. That's what I plan to do. That's always the goal. So thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. Love to see you. And yeah, have a brilliant day.